That's the sound of a man who needs to unblock himself, not rectally, intellectually, creatively. And I think a quick little podcast should do it. So let's get into it.
Lanooski podcast, it still ain't got a name yet. Probably never gonna come up with one, so I'm probably just gonna keep calling it Lanooski podcast.
Like, why call it anything else? I don't make these often enough to justify a different name. One of the big things I got ahead of me this year is the fact that I'm gonna be an uncle. Oh, thank you. Thank you, sound effect I laid in after recording this. You're too kind. So with an oncoming baby comes a baby shower. I went to this thing, saw all kinds of friends and family I haven't seen in years, got to catch up and talk to them like an adult for a change rather than a distraught youth living with his parents. Now I'm a distraught youth relative to people who are 60 or 70 living by his own damn self at an apartment with his partner at an apartment. Wordplay, I'm good at that. So anyway, yeah, this was a great little shindig. Ate lots of good food from both sectors of my genetic makeup, the American and the Filipino. Lots of fried rolls, lots of dessert, mac and cheese, crab cakes. Of course, we didn't leave empty-handed either. Had a bunch of goodies and got some baon, which is the Filipino term for leftovers. This was my first mistake, because some of these leftovers had all kinds of variables, vegetables, condiments, meats at any varying degree of quality or sanitation. What I'm saying is not long after this, I got food poisoning. That set me back a few days, kept me from working on some videos I wanted to at least get started, if not out all the way, before my first show at my venue, which I'll get to shortly. Especially when it's timed with you trying your darndest to get out some quality content as a content creator. Gag. Term. Necessary. Objectively what I am. A little grody to say. Of course, to stay on the bright side, it was nice to have gotten out a new Lords of Lo-Fi, if a supplemental episode, that one about Joji, which you should go check out. Got to cover some early stuff, some Chloe Burbank era stuff, the stuff that a lot of people seem to be nostalgia for, and the stuff that some people seem to still think is the best stuff he ever made, which I don't think I necessarily agree with. It's definitely the stuff that makes me feel the most warm and fuzzy, because when I listened to it, that's when life wasn't quite as complicated as it feels now. I still think he's gotten some gems out that are indicative of how far he's come as a songwriter and producer, or in some cases just a singer, because he's much more collaborative these days, which some would argue is why his sense of authenticity or quality might have gone down, which I can see. I don't know though, man. Slow Dancing in the Dark, Run, Glimpse of Us, those are bangers. Those are certified pop bangers, some of which get radio time, which I think is cool, to go from making videos where you shout in ambiguously offensive voices about whatever he used to do, to being on the radio. Like, that's a hard dub. The PogChamp achievement, if ever there was one. But no, nothing but respect for the Jodester. I've made a handful of videos about him, some of which get pretty critical, but at the end of the day, I still consider myself something of a fanboy of his. He really did point me in the direction that I'm currently on, wherein I appreciate lo-fi, wherein I appreciate DIY artistry of the modern age, and yet inadvertently DIY artistry of the way back times, which now makes up a majority of my favorite music that I listen to the most often. So, yeah, he was an integral part of my maturation and evolution as not only an artist, but an enjoyer of art. Those are kisses on the imaginary ballsack of George Miller. Nothing but hen shit to say today. Anyway, speaking of venue work, my first show of the work season happened a smidge earlier than it usually does. Several weeks earlier, in April, wherein, if you live in Maryland like we do, can make way for some unideal weather, as it kind of did on said day. Quite chilly. People showed up dressed as if it was still winter, which was kind of silly. But the programming was very special to me. It was a continuation of a series from last year where a local youth orchestra would perform with a proper pop group. Last year it was an indie rock band. This year it was kind of an alternative R&B outfit. And the opener was actually a classmate of mine from the way back times of the high school. High school being where people who were cool would show up high to school. I was not cool, for I was in school, a freshman. Other people were not freshmen. Actually, there were plenty of freshmen who would show up loaded to high. It was a nostalgic day. It was a gratifying day to see that people who you once were classmates with make it to some degree. To go from performing on stages within the confounds of a school to performing on a proper outdoor music venue. Like, there's a trajectory there that anyone who's trying to make shit happen finds satisfaction in. I could have done without older coworkers of mine not seeing the poetry and the gravity of the situation and simply memeing on the acts like they always do, which is their right. A lot of them have been working production longer than I've been alive, so I don't fault them for, letting out that steam. It still is a fact that I wanted to smack some mouths at the time, because I projected my own emotional well-being onto this particular show. It was a good day, if a mixed day. Yeah, one more thing. I'm going to sound collage this from outside using my phone because I like that Mixify thing, as I established in previous recordings. Another reason I'm doing this is because it tends to be a helpful aid of mine to record something of an MO or a mission statement every once in a while. I actually recorded a private video for myself that I listened to during my downtime at the concert the other day. It's good to just hear a past version of myself reaffirm that which I'm after, and he was recording it from his old bedroom before I had moved, so there was something of a full-circledness to listening to that. Did my heart some good? Did my brain some good? Did my spirit some good? Past me can be pretty wise sometimes, when he's not saying cringy shit that I plan on reflecting on in videos at some point in the future. But yeah, I thought I would do something similar since it's about a year since I recorded that. This is that thing, and it's actually public. I wanted to do it in a way that serves that purpose while not necessarily pissing away time putting some activity into my channel. Because unless you do that, it starts to atrophy, and the algorithm gets mad at you for not doing shit. And I'm already pushing it by not making any shorts right now, which, by the way, I do plan on returning to when I've built up some full-length muscle, which isn't a peen. It's it's a catalog of full-length videos that I used to make. This is what happens when I don't write. I just say shit from the top of my brain. It's nice out here. Listen to nature. Can you hear the nature? It was a day that showed me the beauty and the manifestation of art and how it can better the community, rekindle the fire within our own souls as creatives, while also being a reminder that to work the back end is an often cynical and disheartening venture where you help so many other people's dreams come to fruition that it starts to numb you to the wonder and magic of creation, and you get bitter towards it because you're just a footstool for other people's success and time in the spotlight. Which is why I need to get the fuck out of there, which will hopefully be made possible by a follow-through of my planned content for the year. When it comes out, who's to say? It's out when it's out. I'm not made of money, and I kind of have a possessive sense of authorship for this particular batch of videos. So while I would still like to wrangle in my usual boys and girls and others into helping me crank stuff out, I need to get firmer footing than I currently have and a bigger budget than I currently have before I can start divvying out slots for people to work with. Speaking of slots, shouts to Biodegradable, who's probably going to listen to this. Love you, buddy. You and I can have a chit chat when I pull my head out of my ass and I remember how to be a person online, because my energies, as you can plainly tell from this video, are being pointed elsewhere, and I hope you understand. Further shouts to my boy, formerly Sloom Beats, whose stuff I've used in the past. He's rebranding. He's going by Monty Blue now. Every couple of videos, I'll use some stuff of his to pad out the soundscape of the upload. Go follow his Bandcamp. Go follow his Instagram. Dude's a hard worker. His sound's expanding big time right now as well. He's kind of pivoting to like an indie rock thing, which I'm kind of doing as well. As you could tell from that intro, I am moving on from my usual methods of making chill little pop pieces, and I'm using the software that I'm currently using to record this voiceover to multi-track. I'm going to close out with another example of what I've been able to make within this setup. Hope you enjoy it. Thanks for listening. Expect proper content very, very soon. Love you guys. Live your best life. Smoke, drink, kiss your homies on the mouth. If you're over the age of 18. If you're below the age of 18, you're really cool for listening to me. As if you are an adult, please go do your homework and stay away from all the stuff that I just said until you are an adult and able to do that shit. What a weird fucking way to end this episode.